Okay, we're all finished spraying, and now the nice part of our system is the cleanup. So we're going to just pour what was left right back in the container that it came out of. It can go right back in there. We'll open up the fluid control so it'll drain back. Just put the lid back on it, and then we're going to clean the spray gun in the sink using just standard tap water. EkoFill cleans very easy. It'll have a little bit of a build-up. What I like to use is just a little soft brush. With the water running, you can just gently brush that nozzle, and that just cleans that right up where it was exposed to the air. The inside part of the gun is not so bad because it wasn't exposed to the air, and it cleans right up. And that's it. It's ready for next time. Our cross coat with the spray gun is dry, and we're getting ready to sand this. And what we want to do is take a heat iron, set it about 250 degrees, and we're going to go around and we're going to iron all of the tape edges. And the reason for that is because we don't want to remove our filler coat from the finish, particularly around the tape edges. So what we're going to do, instead of sanding it off, we're going to come around with this heat iron, and we're going to just run that edge right along the iron. Let me show you right here. We're going to just run this iron right along the tape edge. And what that's doing is pushing that finish from the top down in between. And so when we come back and sand it, it takes very little sanding to be quite smooth. And so we're going to do the whole wing like that. Then we're going to come back with 320 grit sandpaper, and we're going to lightly sand it and get it ready for our final two cross coats. This is the bottom of the wing, and I've gone around and I've completely ironed all of the tape edges, and I've sanded some of this so you can see a little bit of the contrast. And I'll go ahead and get the sandpaper and go over that on how to sand this to where it doesn't damage anything. And there's the sandpaper that we use. This is a 320 grit. It's a 3M open coat, and the open coat seems to work the best because the filler won't plug up the sanding grit. It just dusts off and works really nice. The important part of sanding this prior to putting on the next two cross coats is that you sand just on the tape edges first, and then come right on into the open area and just sand enough to get to smoothness. We don't want to take the filler coat off. All we want to do is make it smooth. At this point, when this sanding is finished, at this point we're halfway through on this wing of the preparation for the finish coat. In other words, we'll have two cross coats of filler coat on here. We've sanded it once, and as soon as this sanding is finished, we're going to be ready to put on two more sprayed cross coats, and that will be ready then for the final sanding just prior to our top finish coat. The thing that you want to watch is that anything that you sand or any place, there's little screw heads and things that are sticking up. You want to be very careful that you don't sand through the filler coat, and particularly out in the area of the bays, if there's a piece of structural metal underneath and you push down and you sand real hard, you can cut through that filler coat and actually can cut the weave of the fabric, and so you want to be very careful on that. On the rib stitches where they stick up, try not to even sand over those at all. I like to just sand right in between them, and don't sand them, because even going in between you get enough of the sanding over the top that they're smooth, and that's very important. On inspection rings you can sand them in a circular motion, And there again, it just takes very little sanding. This stuff, our EkoFill sands very easy, and it goes on so smooth that actually all we're doing is just taking the surface, a little bit of the roughness off, and what's left underneath is extremely smooth. Okay, this wing is sanded now. We're going to blow it off, we're going to wipe it off, and it's ready then to spray the last two cross coats. We're going to spray those exactly the way that we just sprayed the other wing on the cross coats. Do it exactly the same way. And we're going to wait, we'll finish the other wing, and then when we come back we're going to be ready to start the final sanding, and then we'll get ready for the finish coat. We finished putting the last two cross coats of EkoFill on the wings and let that set overnight, and I've just completed the sanding on this wing, and we're getting ready to put the final two-part polyurethane top coat on it. And on the last sanding, it's not necessary to iron all of the tape edges, but you do want to have an iron ready in case there's one of the pinked edges sticking up. And but normally it sands really fast. Use the 320 grit open coat sandpaper the same as on the first sanding. So we're going to go and get ready and start putting the top coat on this wing.